Hi, and welcome to episode 140 of the Mighty Whites podcast. We're in a great mood because even though it's been several days since the game, it hasn't worn off yet because that was fantastic. I'm Jack, as always, joined by Casey.
How are we doing, mate?
I'm really good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
Yeah, it's amazing how much it can make your week, isn't it? A result like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking now, and we're only 15 points behind West Ham now.
It's on.
We're basically pushing for Champions League here.
Yeah, but I mean, I must admit, as obviously being facetious there, but I do find it amazing that we're only 3 points off 10th, given everything.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of the first time I realised when they mentioned it on commentary that it's the first time we won back to back this season in the league. Anyway, it does the position we're in now. I'd like to say only been 3 points off 10th does make you realise how bad the bottom three are.
Yeah, obviously it's a bit skew with at the minute because of all the games people have had and hadn't. 10th have got a game in hand, but Palace and Southampton, we've got a game in hand, and it's all over shop.
In all fairness, though, I mean, Burnley have got 4 games in hand on Norwich,
and isn't their next game Arsenal? So that's just not happening.
Honestly, I think after those 4 games, I think Burnley might end up on 12 points from 11. So, yeah, I don't know what to think now. We're basically getting Europe Conference football here.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to our obvious European trip next year that we have sealed. That's right, sealed in January with a win at the London Stadium. West Ham 2, Leeds 3. I didn't get the score right, but I did say on the podcast that I had that weird optimism that for some reason I just thought we were going to win. During the game, that completely went away, and I had money on West Ham at half time.
I mean, twice. Yeah, both times when they scored, there was the moment you hear we go, all right, here it comes. Here comes the bitter disappointment.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, it was weird to see because you saw the lineup, and most people, and I did as well, although I did put the other one on Twitter as an option. Most people expected Forshaw defensive mid, Ayling, Cox, Strouk, Firpo. But instead, it was Cock in defensive midfield and then Dallas, Ayling, Strouk, Firpo, and it really worked. I mean, for 20 minutes, which included obviously the first Harrison goal, is that 20 minutes basically the best we've played all season?
Yeah, I think it is. I think we were absolutely fantastic. It felt very much like the Leeds of old, pressing very well. It's the least sloppy I've seen has been for a while playing out of defence, and even in kind of the improved performances in the last couple of games, I still think that that's I think it's the fewest times I've really been concerned about passes out of defence. There's still 1 or 2 moments where we've lost it in midfield, but nothing that was particularly scary at the end of it.
Although it did a couple in the last 10, it did a couple as the second half went on, but I think the main thing for that was Ayling was much better in that regard, and that's been one thing he's been really struggling with this season. He's played a lot of the hospital passes and stuff out from the back, and he did one to Lewis Bate just before he went off, but he was much better in that regard.
Yeah, and we talked about it last time as well. I thought it was fantastic having Stroy back in the team. Yeah. Much needed, excellent performance at the back. Dealt really well with Antonio. Honestly, I think if he plays continuous football for another 18 months, I think he'll be an absolute world beater.
Yeah, it's for trajectory. It isn't just that he's this good. It's that it's 2 years total from coming on and looking like an absolute bomb scare to this.
Yeah, and even the fact he was obviously parachuted in on the opening day last season of of, oh God, we've got no one, so here's the new signing and you in defence. Go.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the other thing that made a difference, and especially to, like you say, with the way we played out from the back, although it wasn't perfect, was much improved. I think that the other reason for that was I thought Robin Koch was outstanding in holding mid, but not just with the defensive stuff. That's, I think, the best I've ever seen him be on the ball.
yeah, once for me, I think once you get used to Calvin Phillips and seeing what people attempting to replace him has looked like mostly between Koch and Struijk, I would take any of them playing a 5 or a 6 most games for how, when you look back at how some of those performances have gone. But no, I thought he was excellent in that role. I thought he did really well, like you say, defensively, as is sort of expected from him. But again, the ball retention was there. I know he obviously doesn't have the range of passing that Phillips does, but he did absolutely everything he needed to. It's the first time I think it's the first time he's gone through a full 90 looking comfortable in that role.
Yeah. And it's a good, I mean, there's been a couple of stories saying that like the next full international break, because there's that weird international break coming up where there isn't one in Europe, but there is one in South America. But apparently the Germany coach is already like in touch with him saying you're getting called up again, and he's expected to be as a DM.
Which is great for him as well, because bearing in mind it's only 3-4 weeks ago that he was playing because there was absolutely no one else.
Yeah, that first game back where he wasn't fit enough, but we just did not have anyone else.
Yeah, so it's great that he's played in central defence, he's played holding midfield, but he's looked good since he came back.
Yeah. So yeah, that first 20 minutes obviously was outstanding, and we got the first goal. Good ball over the top for Rafinha. He pulls it back for Click. Decent strike, saved. Forshaw, who, because he isn't playing DM, is in the box, getting forward. He's never going to score, but at least he was in the right position. Knocks it back to Harrison, and really good, confident finish. Little did we know just how good a day he was going to have. As always, Casey, you always back Jack Harrison first goal, so I'm assuming you didn't.
Nope.
Cool.
I didn't back him to score any time.
And you're not going to back him this weekend either.
Nope, I'm not allowed now.
No. But no, it was a really good goal, and it was every bit of deserved. For 20 minutes, we were still on top. I've actually, that attacking momentum graph that SofaScore do.
Mm.
Yeah, I was going to have a little look at that just to see how much it ends up being the 20-minute mark, and it isn't quite the 20-minute mark, but it's about the 25-minute mark where West Ham get on top. There's Forshaw and Firpo both go off with hamstring injuries. They haven't said how long, but I'm assuming, they're not going to play in this one, and then we've got, in theory, a week without a game.
Forshaw did say he was ready to go again, didn't he?
He put on Twitter that he was trying to be fit for it, but there's no way they're going to risk that. Don't risk that. That would be a silly risk to take. But yeah, they're both off. Is it Firpo going off was a shame because once again he starts playing a bit better, starting to get a bit of momentum, and it goes away. But it was a real shame for Forshaw because I thought he was having like a 20 minutes where he was in a midfield battle that included Declan Rice, and only when he looked like the best midfielder on the pitch.
Yeah, and he's absolutely everywhere. Considering the amount of time he's been out and the type of injury it was, you could sort of understand if he was playing a more reserved style now, but there's absolutely none of that, and clearly look where it got him. But
yeah, just what a way to celebrate his new contract by finally getting injured. But once again, the good thing about the way that even though he doesn't always trust him with as many minutes as we'd like when it's a calm situation, it does show that when push comes to shove, he'll trust him. Yelder on at left back, Lewis Baton middle of midfield. And I thought both of them did well, but I thought Yelder was really good.
Yeah, probably quite a helpful addition against a team like West Ham as well to have a left back that has a bit more presence about them than Firpo. But yeah, I thought he coped really well with it. He's a strong lad anyway, but I thought you wouldn't have thought it was a Premier League debut.
No, definitely not. He really did look comfortable. And the thing that I really like about him, and I would have to see a lot more to know whether this is just, it's the honeymoon and my eyes that are seeing everything good and not seeing the bad things. But can you remember that the best thing about when Barry Douglas was playing was his passing from left back into midfield? Like going inside, it was always something that he did better than all the others. And from what I've seen so far, Yelder seems really good at picking out that pass.
Yeah, he's and it's probably done him good as well to spend time in the 23s playing at left back for this. And it's not just a case of you're the left-footed defender we have, get out there.
Which is what happens at every level of football ever.
Yeah, he's to look at, he looks every part the central defender. He's a big lad, he's well built, and obviously he's Scandinavian, so he's fucking gorgeous. But good actual footballer as well.
I was really pleased with him, and he's done himself no harm. Obviously, we did struggle a little bit directly after the subs, which is to be expected. Even though they weren't doing out wrong, you take two senior pros out and put two kids in, it's going to take a little while. But it's not like, we were struggling and then they scored the goal. I mean, the chances were corners. Craig Dawson missed an absolute sitter, and then Bowen got away from Dallas and had a free header back 8 yards out and scored.
Yeah, he did. As good as he was all game, Stuart Dallas, this was abysmal marking on his part. did a terrible job of tracking him. And you wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind if half of West Ham's team had scored that header. It's sort of what they're built for. It sort of hurts that Jared Bowen's scoring a header from a corner in the middle of the penalty area. Yeah, it's not like he's a big lad or anything. Like, look, if you've knocked it past two of our defenders and done them for pace, fine. You know what? I'll give you that. But come on, if that had been Antonio, I'd have been fine with it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you wish Bowen had missed and Craig Dawson had taken his chance. Everything else stays the same.
Yeah, it's fine the other way around.
But that was my first moment of oh shit, here we go again. It's all going to fall apart. But they just seem to have that little bit of confidence back. They're not at the peak, but that little bit of sterner stuff that they seem to have when they're playing well. And the last thing I expected was us to score at a corner.
Yeah.
Good ball in. Good header from Ayling. It's just going wide at far post. Harrison's in. And we thought our marking was bad. There's no one near him. And Harrison just taps it in with little Jackie.
Yeah. With the groin. I think we can.
Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, we'll go with off the groin. My groin. But yeah, it's amazing because he just sort of wanders behind everyone. I don't know if he's even lost his man. I don't know if he ever had a man to begin with.
I think
it's like Glenn Johnson can't find a man. Jesus, he just wandered in at the back post and just knobbed it in.
I never actually checked who was marking him, but I would bet it was a forward. Because as soon as it's one of them, the first header happens, and they go, right, my man didn't win the ball. And just stop. There's no thought of a second ball. I don't know for certain, but I bet if we look back at it, I bet it's like Pablo Fornals.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But yeah, he turns it in. I accidentally wake up my daughter by celebrating quite loudly.
Dropped her on the floor.
Yeah. threw her up in the air, broke a light bulb. No, but yeah, 2-1 up at half time. As I say, that's when my pessimistic Leeds brain kicked in and said, you know what you should do right now? That's have a tenner on West Ham to win. So I did. And I'm so glad to have lost the tenner. But I didn't think the pessimistic part of my brain was wrong when they scored after 5 minutes. And defensively, this was such a poor goal. Ball into Antonio, who does a weird... I still can't tell if he was trying to play a first-time pass outside of his right foot or control it. Just looped it up into the air. Just go forward and we win it. And we don't. We just let him get there again. Fornals comes inside. Not great defending. Decent finish. Sends Melier wrong way.
Yeah, gets it under Strike's leg, I think, doesn't he? As he slides in for the shot. But yeah, not the best bit of defending on our part. But I'd like to think it's the way Antonio dealt with the ball that threw them all off.
Yeah.
Like, if he'd have brought that down, I think we'd have been fine. It's the utter confusion caused by him just hiking it back up over his head and I assume hoping for the best after that.
Yeah. But the same thing happened with the first goal. They had a couple of minutes afterwards where they were still on top, and then we wrestled back control. And I'm just looking at that graph again, the same thing happens. They've got another 5 minutes where they're on top. And then it's 50-50 for 5. And then it's us for like 10-15 minutes. And it isn't just like when we score the goal, it carries on for 10 minutes afterwards. As soon as they got level, we just went, all right, well, we've to do it again. And we did it again. It's not like it wasn't as if we were creating shitloads of chances. Like, I've just realised in these quick notes I've written to the side that I hadn't even mentioned that Rafinha free kick.
Have we had Dan James's chance as well?
No, that was right at the end of the first half. You know, when he's put that was
dreadful.
Anyone out there who plays Football Manager, I think Dan James maybe should have composure 1.
Bless him, he just doesn't get it out of his feet, does he?
No, it was. I mean, look, I genuinely, Dan James has done enough in the last few games to earn a lot of credit, I think, and deserves everything, but doesn't take away from the fact that was a fucking awful finish.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Clean, but that was another one, winning the ball high, good pressure. Obviously, Rafinha hits the post for a free kick, but the goal itself, again, they play a ball into front line. Dallas steps in, wins it high up the pitch, and then
high up the pitch. He was beyond the midfielders.
Yeah,
he's the right back. It was a brilliant challenge, but he's like, isn't that where the click should be? Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah, I've got it. But as I say, it goes to Rafinha. Rafinha's through ball for Harrison is absolutely perfect. It isn't as good as what I'm going to compare it to, but it did remind me of Pablo Hernandez one away at Stoke when he played in Dallas. It wasn't as good a ball as that because almost nothing is. But it was a great ball. And then Harrison, who, you know, we've seen him struggle to make the right decision in the penalty area sometimes. I wouldn't say that he's a natural finisher from what we've seen. He scores a few, but I wouldn't say a natural finisher. Just delays his run, lets keeper come out, clips it over him, chip. It was a brilliant finish. Like, as confident, he must have just been as confident as you could be. I was going to do a reference there that only you'd have got, because I was going to say he must have been dancing on the wind. But, yeah, that probably wouldn't work for, admittedly, not very wide, but wider audience.
If you're a Scrubs fan, get in touch.
But that was like a seriously great finish, and I'm so pleased for Jack Harrison. I do want to mention, just before I forget, and then I'll let you jump in. If you haven't seen, Jack Harrison is raffling off the shirt from that game for the Yorkshire Cancer Trust. So you go on his Twitter, you'll see it. It's £10 a ticket. Great thing to do. And I did say on Twitter, that really shows, like, taking the nice guy to an extra ticket, because he must really not want to give away that shirt.
It's as best I can tell, it's his first professional hat trick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any from New York FC I'm fairly certain. Yeah, so
yeah, well done, Jack Harrison, showing once again that the other underappreciated thing about this team is that they all seem to be really great guys.
To be honest, I'm gutted he did it now because I think he could have pipped the Danish physio and doctor team that looked after Christian Eriksen to the FIFA Fair Play Award. If he'd just done this a couple of days earlier, you know.
Oof, yeah, I mean, it's close. I reckon they might just nick it.
No, absolutely fantastic. And like you say, it was a lovely finish. And considering I know he's played better the last couple of games, but considering his form this season, it showed a lot of confidence to take on that finish. If I was being overly critical, I think Fabianski probably should have got there, and I think he changed his mind. But all credit to Harrison for having that in his locker to pull it off. I don't know if you saw our match of the day too as well. Mike Dean with his classic. Here's the ball. No.
I didn't watch match of the day too, but I would have assumed he does that because he always does that.
He does always do that. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Do we bother him with the Rafinha free kick now, and are we just basking in the glory of?
Yeah, it hit the post with a really good free kick that deserved to go in. The other thing that deserved to go in was our fourth goal, which obviously did not count. And by the way, I don't get our fan base on this. It's offside. It just is.
Right. The one caveat I'll make to defending that should have stood. I, as well as everyone else, looked at where the last defender was and went, I think he could be in line there because I just assume there's a goalkeeper between them. Yeah. It's that moment you go, oh God, like Fabianski's ahead of all of their defenders. Right, yeah, fair enough. That's offside. Now, I understand you'd have a bit of, you'd be more sympathetic to Rodrigo.
Oh, KC, you were going to step on my bit. I was literally going to go, now, Rodrigo, right? You don't stop and hunch up. You run into the back of the goal. That way you can't be in the way. Everyone knows this. I would never get in the way of a teammate's shot on the goal line.
Yeah.
But
you did, though, didn't you? You did, didn't you? In a friendly in Bridlington that I still haven't forgiven him for when we were 14.
Yeah, something like that. But no, as I say, the actual, I would say that Rodrigo should continue his run into the goal, but your natural instinct is not to do that. Yeah. Your natural instinct is to stop, and it's just unfortunate because he isn't actually affecting the outcome in any way. It would have gone in anyway, but the second it touches him.
Bless him as well, because the first thing it reminded me of was, it's in the Leeds Chef Wednesday 6-1 when like Gary Speed's header comes off the bar and he's not paying attention. He's got his head in his hands, and then he hears the cheer from the goal, and he's like, "Yeah, get in!" Because as soon as that ball goes back, Rodrigo is just looking for go here. Put it in front of me. Yeah. I think he has that moment of, oh God, it's coming towards me.
Yeah, that was another one where Rafinha gets in behind with a good bit of play. In this game, he was so much more of a threat. And, we're far from the first people to say this. Everyone said it. It's because the first time in ages, he's been able to get in behind and get to the byline.
Yeah, I thought first half he was a little bit quieter with Rafinha, but I thought second half, whenever he was in possession, I thought he looked lethal. Love getting at them. He's so good when he's like that, isn't he?
I mean, he's pretty good when he's off it. Like, we've had several games this season where he hasn't been at his best and he's been his best player.
Yeah. It's so nice to watch him just looking at a defender and you're just thinking, he's going past you. I don't care what you're thinking. He is going past you.
Yeah, like obviously Aaron Cresswell is a good player, but he's not particularly quick. Especially now because he's getting. I was going to say getting on a bit. I have a feeling. I'm just going to look at something because I have a feeling he might not be much of a different age from me.
I'm going to say he's the same age as you.
Ah, fuck you, Aaron. I'm 5 days younger than you. And we've achieved similar things. Yeah, literally just, I was about to say, he's getting on a bit now, and I thought, don't say that, Jack. It's probably your age. Oh, he's another one. I remember him being young. Was it when he was at Ipswich and he looked really good? You're like, oh, we should sign him. Good young left back. And now he's lost his pace and getting skinned by tricky Brazilian wingers. The good thing was after the third goal, and obviously we had it with the fourth one as well. We really did look the more likely to score. They had one disallowed as well after Melier made a couple of really good saves, but that one didn't stick in my head the same way because he was visibly like 3 yards offside. And it got given on the pitch as well. He was miles off. And I just got to the stage where I was finally, oh God, we're going to win. We're going to win against a team that are challenging for the top 4. This is a massive win. God, and it's in London. We never win in London. This is unbelievable. Deflected cross, Bowen. And
before even that, though, because we give away a free kick, and I think it's Click gives away a free kick in a fairly innocuous area of the field.
Oh God, the pass to Antonio.
And Antonio has this moment of he's just gone wide, looks inside, and there is no one within about 10 yards of him. And the first thing I think they're trying to do is to play the free kick off. I assume it was Dan James, but I'm not 100% sure. To get him booked or something. But no, it is just a straight pass down the line to Antonio, who's probably about level with the edge of the area. And he's got all the time in the world. And you just think, no, come on. Not after this, Leeds. Like, don't ruin it now. And the ball loops in, deflects off Dallas, I think.
I'm not actually sure who got the deflection. At that point, my brain was just... I'd just become confident. And when that cross went into Bowen, when he did it, I saw that ball go in. It went in.
Just assumed it went in.
Yeah.
I'd love to know why he didn't head it.
Do you know who else would love to know why he didn't head it? David Moyes. Did you hear him after the game? It was just like, well, why didn't he head it? Like, why didn't he head it? I've no idea. And then had to catch himself and go, but, he's been his best player for like the last 8 weeks. Yeah. And he should get picked for England and all of that. But in that moment, it was was it Harry Redknapp that said it about when Darren Bent missed that chance and he just went, well, my grandma would have scored that.
Yeah.
And David Moyes had that moment, but for, well, why didn't he just head it? And the reason he didn't head it is because he's a shithole bastard.
Yeah, send him back now.
Send him back even further. Send him back to Hereford, where he started.
Yeah, I think I might have celebrated that nearly as much as a goal when I realised that had gone over. Like you say, because I think as soon as you see him making it, because he's got at least a yard on anyone.
Oh, I think that's generous to our defending.
Yeah, he seems to have a lot of free space in the area in the 6-yard box for the last 20 seconds of a football game. That's separated by a single goal, but
yeah,
maybe we gave him too much time.
Yeah, maybe was it like Dan James in the first half? We gave him because the cross deflected and was looping. He had time to think what he was going to do. If it had just been fizzed across, he'd have just stuck a body part in the way, and it would have gone in.
Yeah,
but over it went, and that was like how big is that 3 points?
It's absolutely massive. It takes pressure off the Newcastle game because I know if they win, it does pull them closer to us. But ultimately now, we wanted to come out of this run of 3 games with Burnley, West Ham, and Newcastle. If you get the 6 points from the 2 winnable games, that would have been enough for us. So now, if we come away with a point from the Newcastle game, and which I would be a bit disappointed by, they're still terrible.
Yeah,
it's at home, but it does mean now if you come out of any 3 games with 7 points, it's a good run.
Yeah, unless you're Man City playing against the bottom 3.
Yeah.
Like, anyone in the bottom half, if you get 7 points from 3, it's a decent run. I honestly,
so much easier.
I said this to you, I think, relatively soon after the game, but I think that might be the game we look back at the end of the season as the key one.
I hope, if nothing else, it's the game that sort of restores the confidence now that they can go out and play like that. And even with the changes that went on, outside of the dips, Bate fit in fine, and I think was subbed for purely tactical reasons to get another experienced player on.
Yeah,
Pjelder was absolutely fine. There was no change. I don't think there was no let off for West Ham because they came on. Like, once they settled into the game, we went back to playing how we play.
Yeah. I think it says a lot about how the fan base has got used to Bielsa now. No one really was bothered about the Bate thing. There was a few people thought it was the wrong sub. Because I genuinely think that Bate is fit enough to play that extra 20 minutes. And I genuinely would start Bate in central midfield over Rodrigo.
I also think Bate is probably, and I'm not saying he was playing a defensive role, but defensively is the better option to Rodrigo.
Well, I thought that in the 20 minutes he was on, I thought Rodrigo looked a bit lost defensively, as he always does. Yeah. Because that's not what he's good at. It's fine. It comes with the territory. But the fact that no one freaked out when he subbed a sub, because he's done this loads of times. Don't worry about it.
I went through the list when he was coming in my head when he was coming on, and went, I can't see him bringing Dan James on. He's the outball in this, and I don't think Rodrigo's going to show for those, make the moves for those passes. I couldn't see. Click was playing well enough. Koch was playing well enough. Dallas, wherever you looked, at any reshuffle, I couldn't see him taking another senior player off. It was the sub that made sense for Rodrigo coming on, at least. Whether you thought that was the sub that should have been made or not is it's a different discussion. But as soon as I saw him coming on, I didn't see anyone else coming off.
Yeah. So we've pretty much answered it, but it's become a tradition to ask a variation on a question. This week's variation is: are we no longer fucked?
I mean, obviously for me, I never thought we were fucked anyway. But if I were to think we were fucked, we are now unfucked. Yeah. We've unfucked ourselves.
Well, we're talking about Lewis Bate in midfield, looks good, an option. Rodrigo in there, there's good things about it, there's bad things about it. Wouldn't it be nice if we signed a new midfielder and we have his first actual proper concrete link? And I think it's a good sign that it's one of the ones that all of the data people, not just like the All Stats Aren't We guys, but anyone who writes about it, the Scouted Football guys, all of them have all talked about this guy with Leeds, and that's Brendan Aronson at Salzburg. Also makes sense because we're nearly American at this point, and he's American.
Yeah, he's part of the Usment, isn't he?
Yeah, the Usment.
Great nation to play for.
Better than the Usment. Yeah. But no, from Red Bull Salzburg. Apparently, we've had a bid rejected that was about 15 million quid. They do not want to sell him because they're going to win the league either way. That doesn't really come into their thinking. But they're still in the Champions League and they've got Bayern in the next round, so they're going out in the next round. But they don't want to just give it up. They want to have a go. However, even the journalists that got a line from their side saying we're not selling him because a season's still live, all of them had the impression that is just we're not selling him at that price.
Yeah, which I think is reasonable. He is a you know, I know it's Austrian football and the champions, and it's maybe making the first knockout round of the Champions League, but he's still a good player, and it's a decent level.
I don't think, don't get me wrong, he hasn't stood out to this extent, but players that have recently stood out in the Salzburg team, and I haven't taken notes on this, but literally top of my head, obviously there's Haaland, which is the main one, but like going back a few years, once Sadio Mane at Salzburg before he went to Southampton, Naby Keita was, I think, there. I think he went Salzburg Leipzig, which a few of them do.
I mean, I'm going the other direction with this. His brother Paxton Aronson is playing for Philadelphia, and it's only.
Oh God, how American is that name, Paxton?
Paxton Aronson. Yeah.
Is he at Philadelphia? Because that's where Brendan Aronson was, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's where he is. Philadelphia Union. 16 games, 3 goals. Sorry. Before I got that the wrong way around. And he's made a CONCACAF Champions League appearance as well. So,
we might have both of them. But there's been a few numbers floating around after the 15 got rejected. Like 20 to 25 seems to be about the number. Obviously, I don't watch loads of Austrian football. It's mainly been stuff that I've read and stuff that I have looked up since. From the bits I've seen, he seems clicky. Like, but obviously younger, quicker. You know the way that nearly all of Click's runs into the box, to the side of the box? He seems to have a better distribution of some of them being there and some of them being into the middle. He seems to get into slightly better shooting positions from what I've seen. But loves a long shot in the same way that Click does. The other thing that really makes it, and this is more from I've read the numbers rather than being able to see it myself, but by the looks of it, he chases everything and presses like mad, which, you know, suits us.
Yeah. I mean, that was the other thing I think we should probably say as well before talking about this. I was absolutely gutted for Click that goal got ruled out, because I thought for him it'd have been massive.
Yeah. He deserved it. He played well.
Yeah, he's played a lot better the last couple of games as well, ever since the abuse he got after the Chelsea game.
Yeah, I
think he has upped his game probably since the Arsenal game anyway. But yeah, I suppose we are at the stage now where we do have to start looking at younger models for our squad. As much as I love Click and Dallas and Ayling, they're all 30 plus now, but it's sad. I don't want them to ever grow. I don't want to make this sound like at the end of World War I, but they will never grow old to me. They'll always be the promotion winning lads.
Yeah, you mean it more in the sense that Joe Cole was a promising young player at 33.
Yeah.
But Brendan Aronson is 21, so
it really is a shame, ultimately, that we signed Stuart Dallas at 25, I think, and he had to wait for years for a decent manager to come along.
Although, let's be honest, I think there's a lot of decent managers in the world that wouldn't have gone, centre mid / fullback.
I think they'd turn him in, I think they'd help to improve as a winger, because I always liked him as a winger. He was Snodgrass 2.0, essentially. He wasn't. Well, he was quicker than Snodgrass, but could cut inside, could hit a shot, could cross.
I was going to say could hit a shot. Didn't he win goal at season once? Oh, well, he definitely won it once for that volley at Birmingham, but he might have had it twice.
Yeah, it's just a shame that he had to go through Christiansen and Hecky and Evans and
But now it's it's limited stuff from reading around and watching bits, seeking it out. from what I've seen, I would really like us to sign this Aronson kid.
My only concern, and I'm not a statistician, I'm not a numbers guy, but as I extract the data, he's got 1 goal in 16 Austrian Bundesliga appearances, but he's got 2 goals in 8 Champions League games, which to me says he is twice as good playing in cup competitions as he is in the league. Which I don't know if that would suit our strategy, given
of getting knocked out.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting the best out of him. That's one for the All Stats Aren't We podcast to look into, delve into those numbers.
For what it's worth, they've got a couple of good things on their Patreon about Aronson that is from before all of this, because he was on their list of people.
I want to ask them specifically about those goal scoring figures.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good to me, but.
Yeah, why do you not score in the league? And is it just because? And is it just because they're busy having Karim Adeyemi score all their goals? Oh, yeah, that's another one on the list. Although against strikers, Adeyemi looks ridiculous, and before that, Patson Daka. They've had some players over the last few years of Red Bull Salzburg.
Could we really tarnish the name of Adeyemi?
Yeah. God, I'd literally forgot about
There's only one.
So, right, massive game Saturday, Newcastle. Luckily, with our tiny shadow squad that's all broken, you can add Forshaw's out. I reckon almost certainly Firpo's out. Bamford has recovered from his injury and is now out with a different injury because he's injured his foot, so he's out.
Was there a press conference today?
Yes, that's how I know that.
Okay, fair enough.
But Gelhardt and Roberts were maybe back, which means if they are back, they're on the bench.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as usual, nothing of a squad. But there is one important thing, and that's that Newcastle are shit. And have only added a right back and a decent Premier League striker in Chris Wood. Trippier's a good player, but they need more than a right back and a striker, so they're still shit at this point.
That's why they're now going after Tarkowski.
Yep, who was horrendous against us last time out, but is a better player than that. They're also trying to sign Diego Carlos from Sevilla, who apparently wants to go because he just obviously loves money.
Yes, I did see that, and all I could think was, that man wants to get rich quickly.
Yeah, well, I can only assume. There was actually a thing that David Ornstein were talking about, that apparently there's another Premier League team that are willing to just, if Newcastle get a bid accepted, they're just going to match it. And it will be a better option than Newcastle, everything except financially.
Is it Everton?
No, I think it said it was one of the teams in London, and I'm guessing not Brentford. Or Millwall.
Can I just say, and I don't know if these are the people that listen to us. And again, I know that the things come up when Jermaine Defoe was released. People are like, oh, might be worth a pun. Given our style of play, I don't want to risk Christian Eriksen's health playing for Leeds.
No, he's not. Even before all that, he wasn't really the style of midfielder Bielsa likes.
Yeah, he was.
He was capable. Don't get me wrong, he was quick enough, and he was capable of pressing off the ball and stuff. But he's not like Riquelme, but he's a midpoint between a Riquelme and a Bielsa midfielder.
Yeah,
and that is still too far away from a Bielsa midfielder.
Yeah. All right, just looking at Newcastle's recent form, and their only win recently is against Burnley at the start of December.
Yeah.
Before that, you've got to go.
Isn't that their only league win of the season?
Oh God, yeah, it is, isn't it? Sorry, yeah. As I'm scrolling back through, they've drawn a lot of games. They're
drawn 9.
Drew with Brighton, drew 3-0 with Brentford, drew with Norwich, hammered by. I say hammered. They actually played all right against Liverpool, I thought. Hammered by Leicester, hammered by Man City, 1-1 draw with Man United, and then
they should have won. To be
fair. Lost to Cambridge.
Mind you, though, they're doing that a lot. I mean, Man United won at Brentford, didn't they, last night? And at half time, it sounded like Brentford could have been 2 or 3 up.
Yeah. And then 1-1 draw with Norwich at the weekend after an 89th minute equaliser.
Yeah, as I say, they're a bit all over the shop. I say their 1-1 draw with Watford last time out was a shit result. And although I don't really count FA Cup games, they did also get beat 1-0 at home by Cambridge with like a relatively full side out.
Sorry, I've just gone onto Newcastle's squad and John Joe Shelby's wearing an England shirt.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions that I had here is that the results have been shit either way. Has Eddie Howe improved them at all?
No. Like, I don't see how.
I think like marginally, but they need to improve by a lot.
I think they are more entertaining to watch in defeat than they were entertaining to watch in defeat last season. But that is in no way helpful to their situation. Like, ultimately, you kind of look at their record recently, and I'll take away the results against the top 4, top 5 sides. They dropped points to Brighton, who were playing with 10 men. They've drawn both their games with Watford. The fact they have one win is awful. Like, you can. It's the same reason I'm not concerned about Burnley. You can have as many games in hand as you want. If you get past the halfway stage of the season and you've won one game, you've been awful.
Yeah.
Like, between the 3 of them, it's not going to be Derby, well, unless Burnley lose all their games for the rest of the season.
Yeah, because that isn't the record. Is it 11 or 12?
Yeah, but they're not even going to be close. You kind of look to 35, 40 points, and they're not going to get anywhere near that. Like, any of them. Like, Norwich have pulled away. They've got 3 wins. They've actually won one recently.
I've as much as I don't think Burnley, I don't think you can say pull away when.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean that.
As much as I don't think they're going to win the games in hand, I mean, they're 2 points ahead of Burnley, and Burnley have got 4 games in hand. Pull away is a stretch.
Yeah, I might have got excited there. I think what I meant was they've got themselves off the bottom after the worst start to the season of the 3 of them,
which you want to see coming.
No, and Burnley. I know we're talking about Newcastle, but I just have to say this: Burnley are looking to counteract this dreadful form and loss of their main striker with Andy Carroll.
It is like when they signed Peter Crouch. But when they signed Peter Crouch, it was specifically for the job of be on the bench and come on with 10 minutes left if we need to just launch it. This sounds like it might be to play him.
Yeah. It's what, Jay Rodriguez, like.
Yeah, Jay Rodriguez and Ashley Barnes being the big man to Mate Vidra / Maxwell Cornet.
I assume Ashley Barnes was the biggest man. I've seen the way he goes into tackles.
Yeah. The main difference for Newcastle now that they've got Eddie Howe is that it's a back 4 instead of a back 5. So we won't be 4-4-2 anymore. We'll be back in his normal formation. It looked like, to be honest, the team that he picked against Watford, in theory, was a pretty attacking team because it was a straight 4-3-3. Joe Linton's like a centre mid, and then it's Sam Maximan and Fraser either side of Chris Wood, with Shelby and Longstaff as the other midfielders. Like Trippier will get forward a bit from right wing back. I'm not sure Dummett will do the same from left back. That's where he played, which Dummett versus Rafinha, that sounds fun. And they had Sharon Lascelles and Dubravka in goal. That will probably be that probably won't change. So they've gone to a slightly more attacking formation that I think that they'll probably stick with because they stuck with that against everyone so far. So other than Leeds being Leeds and doing something.
Doing Leeds things.
Is there anything to fear about this, really?
No, like when we played Burnley the other week, Chris Wood is, as much as I like him, he's only as good as the service he gets. If you cut that out, he's not doing a whole lot outside of set pieces, perhaps. When you look through that list of players, there's some Maximan, isn't there? That's it. Like,
yeah, if he has a really good game that can get something off anyone that isn't Man City or Liverpool, because he can just score 2 goals out of nowhere.
But yeah, I'm obviously I am going to be nervous before this game, but I do have to keep.
Game.
Yeah, but I do also have to keep telling myself it is Newcastle. They are crap.
Yeah,
like they're a bad team. So it's probably going to be fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't really argue against that. We've got the. By the way, sorry, I only just noticed this earlier. Evening, Ali. I only just saw the comment. Sorry. It's just what configuration it'll be. Obviously, we've lost Firpo and Forshaw, and Bamford's not back. But Llorente is back from suspension. So I suppose the questions are, does Rodrigo get a start? Which I think probably not.
I sort of hope not.
I also don't think Bate will get a start in midfield either. The question for me really is, well, one of Rodrigo or Bate will start, or Yelder will start. You would think. Because you would think it's going to be Meslier in goal, Ayling, Llorente, Strauch, and then either Dallas or Yelder at left back. Then Rafinha, Click, and then Dallas or Bate or Rodrigo and Harrison on the left. And I think it'll be Yelder left back, Dallas in midfield with Click. And I think it'll be James. I think it'll be James up front because I don't think Gellert or Roberts will be fit enough yet.
Is Callum Wilson injured again?
I mean, he hasn't played the last couple. I don't know if he's actually available.
I was just like, I saw Joe Willock was on the bench for them in the last game as well, which I thought was an interesting one. But no, he wasn't on the bench. So because I would have thought if you could with that team that you'd try and get Wood and Wilson playing together.
Yeah.
Just as I think Callum Wilson would probably be a very good striker to have alongside Wood for the knockdowns.
Yeah, you would think that, but there doesn't he's not in anyone's predicted lineups or anything like that. So I can only assume that he's not fit.
Yeah, that's handy. Yeah, I honestly don't. To be honest, I'd quite like just to stick to the team that played the majority of the game against West Ham, with Bate and Yelder, and as much as you could.
And you'd leave Llorente on the bench?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
I mean, it's not unreasonable to still have it. I just don't particularly like Ayling at centre back.
It's not preferable, but I like having Dallas's energy at full back. I don't know if it gets the best out of his fitness and his energy. Whereas in centre mid, I don't know if he gets to press like he does as much. I don't know if I'm just getting that in my head because of the way he pressed for the third goal when, like I said, he's raced out of full back to be almost at 10 to win the ball. But
now I do like him as a right back, but I think Ayling's going to play either way. So if he's going to play, I'd rather he was right back. It's interesting because up until the last game, I would have just said, yeah, Dallas will play left back, and then it's a matter of who's in with Forshaw being out, Cock DM, And because Dallas would be left back, I'd be probably saying I'd expect it to be Click and Rodrigo, which is the thing that I really don't want, because we've said for a year and a half now that doesn't work as a midfield two, never has done. So then you'd say Click and Bate, which I would be absolutely fine with. No issues whatsoever. But I think it basically comes down to one of Bate or Yelder's going to start, and I think based on the 2 games we've seen him, Yelder's been better. So I think he'll get the nod.
Yeah, which I'm fine with. I'm not mad keen on Rodrigo in the middle still, but
yeah,
he does have the quality, and I suppose against a team like Newcastle, I feel more confident playing against him playing in that position against Newcastle than I would against West Ham.
Well, I've literally got here. Their midfield is expected to be Sean Longstaff, Joe Linton, and Shelvey. So Shelvey, you'd be the one that you'd expect to sit and spray passes about, because although he isn't what he was, he is still quite good at that. But he's not exactly an athlete, is he, for a footballer?
No.
So you'd think even though his pressing isn't great, in theory, if Rodrigo does play, Rodrigo versus Shelvey should be fine. Again, it wouldn't be my pick still, but I could get away with it. That was good timing, Ali. He's just sent us this saying maybe they'll play 2 up top and we'll go to a back 3. Play Dallas and Yelder as wing backs. It's very possible. I mean, we were just saying if Wilson was fit, I would expect him to go to 2 up top. But
if they did, could you see Koch being pushed as far forward as a centre mid?
Well, what we'd probably do in that situation,
or is that Ayling stays as the right wing back?
Yeah, I think in that situation, Ayling would stay right wing back and Dallas would be in midfield. But when I say I don't like Ayling as a centre back, I do like him as a right centre back in a 3. I just don't like him as a centre back in a 2. So I would actually be absolutely fine if it was wing backs and Koch just playing in midfield.
See, I'd be perfectly fine if it was Koch and Click in midfield. I'm less confident about Koch and Rodrigo.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there. But
yeah, it's a lot of difference between whether they play 1 or 2 up front, but they've been 1 up front through pretty much every Eddie Howe game, so I don't think it's looking likely. Like Longstaff, Shelvey, Joe Linton versus if it was Rodrigo, like Rodrigo and Click against Shelvey and Longstaff, and then Joe Linton against Koch. But it's a bit weird because their midfield 3 seems to have been a fairly flat 3.
Yeah.
So you might kind of end up with sort of Rodrigo way ahead of Click and Koch, and us sort of ending up 4-2-3-1.
Which would suit Rodrigo more.
Yeah, it probably would actually. Yeah.
God, the possibilities are limitless.
Yeah, but the main possibility is that I just think this is one of the few times that this season when, even with our injuries and stuff, where I look at the 2 teams on paper and I just think ours is better.
Sorry, I thought there was an alarm going off then for a second.
No, well, there was, in a way, it's the sound I wake up to quite often.
There's a warning siren going off. Yeah, I feel about as confident going into a game as I think I'm going to this season with this Newcastle game. I feel, again, and to be honest, the first half we played at St James's Park was good. It was just the second half was dreadful.
But in the second half, it's not that they outplayed us. It was just both teams were dreadful.
Yes, it was a terrible game of football.
It was. Whereas in the first half, we should have been 2 or 3 up by half time. Against West Ham, I said, there's no logical reason we win this, but I just think we're going to 1-0. Well, there's no logical reason we don't win this, so I'm just going to say 1-0 again.
Yeah. I'm going to go... I'm going to restore my place as the confident one and go 2-0.
Cool. Well, oh God, we're almost dead on the hour mark. which is one of our longer ones lately. It's almost as if a 3-2 entertaining win away at West Ham is a bit more. There's a bit more meat on the bones than we have had in previous games.
Yes, we're more willing to discuss that
than
the Man City game or the Arsenal game or the Chelsea game.
Ali going in with my special one of 3-1 that I love to bet on. Well, I hope you're right, because that's probably what I'll have a bet on. But yeah, that will do us for episode 140 at Mighty White's podcast. Hopefully we're still in this good a mood come like sort of 5 o'clock on Saturday. But that should do us unless we've got to add.
No, I think we got it.
Right, cool. Well, I've been Jack, see ya.
I've been Casey. Have a good one.